Right, we've got three speakers today. The first one is Andrew Robinson. He's a beef farmer and senior agricultural partner from Armstrong and Watson Accountants. He spent the last 25 years advising farmers across north of England. He's come a long way, so give him a round of applause.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't want to stand on that.
I haven't said. Is it on? I haven't said anything yet.
Is he on? Oh, hang on, you plug out. And it also up there. Yeah. Go on, that should
Are we on? Can you hear us? Morning. Thank you for the invite to come and speak. I am a beef farmer and an accountant, so it's a strange mixture. Many of my farming friends say I spend my life on a soapbox, so I've finally got on a soapbox. There's better qualified people to speak about the farming implications of Rachel from Accounts' budget. But I think it's important, first of all, that we put some of the myths and strange defences of this rather draconian tax to bed, first of all. It's been an interesting week. Farmers were low down the pecking order on Tuesday, high in the top of the pecking order on Wednesday, and then we were blamed for NHS waiting lists and other things on Thursday. So first, I'm just going to go through these myths and we'll talk through. One, let's get rid of this one that farmers don't pay tax. We're always told we don't pay tax. I know what farmers pay. I'm an accountant. We pay income tax, we pay corporation tax, we pay capital gains tax, national insurance, and we pay inheritance tax on non-farming assets. So let's get rid of this rubbish straight away that farmers don't pay tax. There's one common theme with all those taxes we pay. We've made some money, hopefully, before we pay them, where this inheritance tax is purely on an asset and not money. We need to fight this cause long and hard, and we need to do it for our fellow business people in other family businesses, not farmers. Sadly, I don't see their industry representatives and organisations fighting for your hotels, your builders, your etc., who are equally as affected by the BPR. We keep getting told that from Rachel in Accounts, as we all nickname her in Kia, the £3 million farms are covered for inheritance tax. It's a load of rubbish. You'll only get £3 million covered if you're a husband and wife, both own the farm, and you tick lots of individual boxes. There'll only be a minority get the 3 million. Most will get 2.65. When you speak to Labour MPs, and I hope there's some listening today, they keep telling me that this new inheritance tax regime for farming is to stop the loophole of multi-millionaires buying farms and to protect the family farm. Well, it doesn't work, does it? Why? If you're a multi-millionaire with many millions in the bank, you can still buy a farm and own it and save 20% inheritance tax. It's not closing that loophole, and it's crucifying family farms. We look after over 2,000 farmers in our firm of accountants. We've done some surveys of those, not analytical surveys of those clients. 82% of our farming clients are immediately affected by this if this change goes through. Of those 82, 59% are moderately affected. What do I mean by that? Well, they'll all have to survive 7 years and they might be all right. But if they don't, and there's a tragic death or an unplanned, they're all unplanned, but you know what I mean, unplanned death, there'll be hundreds of thousands of inheritance tax to pay. There's 23% of our farmers are critically affected if this rule goes through. What do I mean by that? They ain't got 7 years, as Steve Reed keeps telling us, to sort it out. There's health issues, there's age issues. So this rubbish that there's 550 farms affected or something, well, I must have all them, because it's 82% of farms are going to be affected. There is 2 family farms I can think of within 8 miles of where I stand now. Not big farms, just family farms, parents plus son or daughter, and they will have over £500,000 inheritance tax to pay if they don't gift it and both survive 7 years. It's massive money. 50 grand a year extra for a farm to pay inheritance tax over 10 years is just ridiculous. And if there is Labour people leading, or go and get it, this is a complete tax on tragedy. I had a conversation with a client, an 81-year-old client the other day who has just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And he looked across the desk, this is a genuine story, and said, "It'll be better if I die before the 5th of April 26, won't it?" And I said, I had to say, from a tax point of view, you're right. Is there a chancellor that can sit in her chair listening that she's actually making people want to die early to save a tax? It can be solved dead easily. There is solutions. First of all, if they would come and talk to us, it would be a good start. The simplest solution would be to scrap it. Scrap it, the proposal's full stop. But if you can't do that, or won't, why, lifting the allowance to 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 million each on a proper family farm would solve a lot of the problems. Bringing a transitional period that's longer than 15 months, and they still haven't produced the detail of what the legislation really is, and there'll be some devil in the detail. Bringing an age limit that allows people over a certain age the chance to get their affairs sorted out. But most of all, come and start talking and understand the devastating effect this will have on family business. We're all here because we're farmers today, and it'll knock on into food prices, lack of food, and if we all produce good quality food, we can help the NHS waiting list because it's proper stuff. But it's 82% of farms are going to be affected. Please, politicians, listen. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Been here. There seems to be an awful lot of people here. You told me 100. Well, thank you everybody for turning out. It's amazing. I'm not a farmer, but I earn a living as an auctioneer and valuer in Yorkshire, and I'm here representing a lot of people that rely on you for a living. And they're out there, and you need to canvass their support as well. We're here to support you, but there's plenty of people earn their living out of farming. Don't let them relax. We can do something about it. I work with farmers every day. Family businesses of all shapes and sizes. And they're all worried. These are genuine people, not afraid of long hours and hard work. People who are prepared to accept a low rate of return for the hours and the capital that you've got invested. Why? Because you're building something for the future. Something for the next generation. So why, Kia, Rachel in accounts, whoever's responsible, why are you biting the hand that feeds? Get that message across. You're biting the hand that feeds. These are the people who feed you every day. There was food there in the lockdown, the pandemic. You were there, and there was a secure food supply, and this is how you're being rewarded. Well, if you take away the hopes, if you take away the hope of the future, if you take away ambition, get your message across that you will react, and you will continue to react and fight for your future. If there's public here today, these farmers need your support, and they need you to take time to understand, and you've got to let them understand why you are reacting to get the policy changed. Let's ask why all the major supermarkets have come out in support of Britain's farmers. They know the profitability of farming. They've got everybody analysing your accounts all the time. They know what you're earning, and they're worried about future food supply. We need to get that message out. We're worried about future food supply and food security. Big corporations don't pay inheritance tax. This policy puts them in favour compared to family farms. Get that message across. Family farms are faced with inheritance tax, big corporations aren't. We risk them taking the place of the family farm. And what does that mean? Factory farming on a big scale by faceless corporations, not necessarily owned by people in this country. Let's stand up for ourselves. Now's the time. It doesn't have to be as it's proposed. It's not too late to change the policy. Like Andrew, who's spoken before me, I think farmers accept that they pay tax, and they'll accept tax if they have sold a farm and if they're making a profit. But tax on death is cruel. Let's get that message out there. Tax on death is cruel. You don't know when you're going to die. It's an unknown date. Why are you being penalised for that? Sometimes, and quite often, it's a tragic event. And coupled with that now, you're potentially putting the family business at risk. The government is saying that farmers can plan ahead to avoid this tax. Well, if you can plan ahead to avoid the tax, why are we bothering with it at all? Why don't you choose something else instead? And if it is the case, it takes 7 years to plan ahead, 7 years to get your assets across. Well, sadly, like Andrew, some of my clients in their 80s and 90s haven't got 7 years. They are in despair. Farming is a long-term business. It's a long-term business. So I think any change in IHT policy should be announced at least 7 years ahead. And if you can do that 7 years ahead, then hopefully within 7 years we can find a government that realises what a mistake it is making. Hopefully we can find a government that gets rid of the policy altogether. Before the election, we listened to a shadow minister of farming at the NFU conference. Can you remember what he said? There are no plans to change inheritance tax. Yet in government, and it hasn't taken very long, they've changed their minds. Well, Kia, Rachel in accounts, if you can change your mind once, you can change it again. Admit you've made a mistake. Admit you've rushed into a policy without understanding the consequences and the people that you're affecting. The message out there to you is, please, don't stop. Don't stop trying to change this policy. And don't stop canvassing the public to get your support. Because with the public and the supermarkets and people behind you, you can do it. Thank you.
Hello everybody. You'll recognise, as we've just heard, my accent doesn't live around these parts and I left the interpreter at home, so I do apologise for that. Anyway, thank you for those of you who came to the 19th of November we had in London. Really appreciated that. That was just the start of what we are going to do, and it's great to see you here today. And I think at the moment, we all know farming at the moment is in the toughest period, I think, that it's ever been since the Second World War. It's massively, massively tough out there. And this is why we're all fighting what we're doing. We have massive public support. We have huge public support at the moment. Make no mistake of that. We must keep that. We have to be very careful what we're doing. We have to be very careful what we're doing and how militant we get. We must keep the public support. And I will say, just when we were walking through here, I was at the very back and I stayed 50 yards behind, and I heard some of the public were commenting. One couple said, do they not realise that we need an NHS? I'm sorry, I had to step in and spend 5 minutes talking to them that our money is not going to the NHS, which I'll touch on in a minute. Every one of you here has a duty, please, to counteract a lot of the rubbish that's out there. We've already heard today about pay your tax comments that's all over social media. Do not let that go unchallenged. Please, it's vital that we educate the public as to what we're doing. Some of them think that we are trying to get out of paying every tax. We're not. We've already heard from the accountant and from Andrew what we do with tax. We pay tax more than probably most other people. So please, don't forget that. Also, when we start to look at the amount of stress and the strains that we have, farming is a stressful battle. That's what we do, producing food, putting food on people's plates. Every day of the week, we are used to stress. We are used to battles. The government are not. They're only just starting. So please remember that. It's in our blood, battles and stress and strains. And we have it every day. They're only just starting with it. Now, it's not just about APR, BPR, and that sort of thing that we're all fighting for, an inheritance tax. There was a whole load of measures announced in the budget that's massively crippling for farming. So please don't just think it's the two things. There's a lot of other things coming around the corner as well. There's one that was announced 2 days ago. You might not have heard of it, and it's about shotguns. They are now saying that they will not allow anybody to keep shotguns at home. They are going to be centrally located in various places around the country. That is another proposal. That is another attack on the countryside that we will not allow. And also, have you heard as well, in the spring statement coming up, the 7-year rule, gifting rule that is currently there, that is rumoured they're going to scrap that. So the 7-year rule that we're all hoping we're going to live by will be gone. That is another rumour that's happening. So if you think it's bad now, be prepared, because it could get one hell of a lot worse. Also, it's not just farmers affected. There's a huge number out there. When farmers make a profit, what do? We spend it. So how many people and industries benefit on the back of farmers? You've got pubs, you've got vets, hotels, car dealerships, tractor dealerships, machinery spare parts dealerships. So many people benefit on the back of a profitable farming industry. It's not just farmers. And I heard only 2 days ago, a nationwide plumbing organisation, wholesalers, have put up their costs by 4% just to cover the NIC contributions that they're now going to have to make. That's 4% on top of their standard charges. And we heard Starmer 2 days ago mention the NHS in the same breath as IHT. It's absolutely scandalous. He has now pitched farming against the National Health Service and trying to drive a wedge between the public. We will not let that happen. It's scandalous because he said that do we want the NHS or do we want a tax break for farmers? Further giving grief to farmers and the countryside. The revenue that this inheritance tax, they say, on their own words, and we know that's wrong, is going to bring in is £550 million. That is enough to run the NHS for 20 hours. How the hell is that going to make a difference to waiting times? It's not. The day after the budget, they announced they're going to be giving £536 million to foreign farmers and farming communities abroad. So it's just scandalous to think that they're going to use our money to improve the NHS. And everybody here walking around the back, if you're stood listening to this, you're not a farmer, please remember this, that our money is not going to help your NHS. It's going abroad to help and other countries. We have just had announced as well, only 2 weeks ago, the land use framework, where they want to take 9% of the land out of production of producing food, and they want to put that into helping our carbon offset. That is going to massively impact on our food security. They're saying it's only going to make 0.9% difference because they are banking on us improving productivity by our experience and by the improvements in plant protection, in plant breeders and everything we do to put food on people's plate. We're currently 62% self-sufficient in food in the UK. And if we drop it anything, it's wrong. We need to be increasing it, not decreasing it. And then this land use framework, they have actually announced as well that there's going to be a third runway at Heathrow Airport. For goodness sake, what's that going to do to the atmosphere? What's that going to do to the environment? So they're all talking rubbish where they're saying they want to improve carbon and they want to help the environment when they announce a third runway at Heathrow Airport. All we're doing, as we've heard today, is ask to meet the government to show that their figures are wrong, because they are well wrong. And the 3 million that we've heard of is absolutely scandalous as well, because 46% of farms in this country are owned by individuals, not couples. So that 3 million straight away is not applicable to 46% of the people who own farms. There needs to be an amnesty for people who are old and farmers who are poorly and are not going to last this 7 years. That's all we're asking. We're just asking to meet them. So please, please, if you can just help on that side, that's all we need. But thank you very much for your support. I'm going to finish now. Make no mistake, the government have picked a battle with the wrong people, because we will not back down.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. So yeah, thank you for coming, basically. Everybody here that's got yellow high-vis on is going to be affected. And I'd like the MPs and the councillors that are here, you can actively go talk to them. You can see who they are. So please, after this is over, please go speak to them. See how it's going to affect them, their families. And I'll be honest with you, it affects their wives and their kids and everybody. So yeah, thank you for coming. I'd like to thank the police, wherever they are at the back there somewhere, for all the help they have given. I hope the Minster Police can hear me, because they've been a pain. And I know highways can't hear me, but they have been a pain as well. So yeah, thank you to them as well. So yeah, and the last thing I would like to say is looking at some of these faces in here, please look after each other. There's FCN, there's Rabbi, there's all sorts of phone numbers you can ring. Even if you just think you're worried about your next door neighbour or somebody you see at the auction mart or at the dealership or anything. Please look after each other. At the end of the day, we are going to stop this, because it will end. Just please look after each other while we do it. Thank you very much.